the response to the coronavirus, the crisis, to allude to Higgs's book, Robert Higgs's book, Crisis and Leviathan, has presented new opportunities for the Leviathan, and new assumptions, on the part of the state, and new acquiescence on the part of the citizenry to capitulate.
To me, it's shocking as someone that believes that there's something about liberty in our hearts, like everybody's got that in us, but the poison, if you will, is fear. And the government has very ably, not just the government, I call it, much like there's a poverty industrial complex, I think there's a pandemic industrial complex. There's a network of government agencies and NGOs and even private healthcare and pharmaceutical companies.
Well, but they're all swirling around the government, right? The licensing or the funding or all of that really kind of concentrates in the state, ultimately.
Yeah.
It's not just competition among drug companies. It's bidding for licensing and copyrights and things like that.
Yeah, that cronyism, it's just a natural state of every good thing we try to do, and certainly finding a solution to a pandemic is a good thing that we need to do.
Yeah.
but it strikes me that they need a crisis even if there isn't one.
Yeah.
And I worry about this, and I've seen you cite Robert Higgs before, but I worry that we don't get any of our liberty back after they stop helping us.
Or a little bit of it. I suppose some of the things that we need to emphasize in the midst of this whole thing is the way in which the first response was, in some instances, was to repeal regulations.
Yeah.
So like the fact that doctors and nurses couldn't cross state borders without, they had to exempt people from that and exempt the ability of distilleries to produce sanitizers and exempt the mask makers from certain government requirements, all of these kinds of things that pulled back. So there's that's not been emphasized enough, and how the discovery of the cure, whatever that's going to be, the vaccine or what have you, is going to come out of where all discovery comes out of cooperative enterprise and competition, where people make mistakes and learn from other people's mistakes, that kind of thing.
I was being the dork that I am very early on in the pandemic and the lockdowns. I immediately started thinking about Frederick Hayek and his whole understanding. And I've seen you speak about this as well, his whole understanding of the spontaneous order, and the process by which people figure out the radically uncertain and unknowable future. And I'm like, if we don't know anything about this pandemic, why would we centralize everything right now?
Right. The pretense to knowledge.
Yeah.
And that's really what they're saying, except when you scratch the surface, you realize, well, we really don't know. I mean, this is really taken us all by surprise, and this is not just the flu, but on the other hand, some people experience it just like the flu. And it's that pretense to knowledge that the state always acts and asserts itself and doesn't allow for alternative solutions, especially solutions on the more local levels.
It's very dangerous that they pretend to know a lot more than they do right now.
Yeah.